Until soon about. I hesitate. I overthink. I wait for the right moment, the right words, the right feeling. And as I wait, someone else takes what could have been mine. Confidence isn't a trait, it's a weapon. And if I don't carry it, someone else will use it against me. The bold get ahead, even if they lack the skill. The hesitant stay behind, no matter how brilliant they are. Because power doesn't belong to the best, it belongs to the most certain. This is the bison mindset. This is a turning point. Not for motivation, not for comfort, but for control. I learn how to erase hesitation, speak like a ruler, and move like a man who expects to be obeyed. Watch closely, because from here on, my weakness will no longer be tolerated. It will be replaced. I wasn't born weak. I was trained into it. By repetition, by reward, by rules. Trained to obey, trained to seek approval, trained to ask, is this okay? What lives inside me right now is not a man. It's a servant conditioned to please, programmed to submit. A loyal dog who flinches at judgment and waits for permission. That voice in my head, the one that hesitates, that overthinks, that apologizes before speaking, that's not me. That's the inner servant. And if I don't kill him, I will never be free. This elite mindset doesn't whisper. It commands. It doesn't wait to be understood. It acts and lets others catch up. It doesn't ask for power. It takes it. My transformation starts with inversion. Every time I want to shrink, I expand. Every time I want to explain, I pause. Every time I want to apologize, I stare. Because dangerous confidence doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from doing what the inner servant would never dare. I walk faster. I take up space. I stop nodding. I stop softening my tone. I speak like my words are decisions, not suggestions. Confidence isn't a mindset. It's an identity. And that identity is forged in defiance, not against the world, but against the version of me that still wants to serve. So here's my first rule. If it makes me small, kill it. A thought, a habit, a person, kill it. If it makes me hesitate, confront it. If it makes me weak, deny it. If it tries to be liked, laugh at it. The world will tell me to be kind, polite, and nice. But here's the truth. Nice men are tools. They get used, discarded, replaced. Powerful men aren't nice. They're precise, measured, controlled, calculated, and it starts by slaughtering that little voice inside. Me that still begs to be accepted. I don't need permission. I don't need validation. I need only one thing, the willingness to become feared, not by others, but by my former self. Because once I kill the servant, the ruler awakens. Powerful men don't arrive loudly. They arrive with presence, not through their voice, but through their silence, their stillness, their stare. I don't need to be known. I don't need to be liked. I just need the atmosphere to shift. The moment I enter, that's how a man moves when he owns the room. Not because he's been told he does, but because he behaves like he always has. This is the bison mindset. The ones who rule aren't always the ones who talk the most. Sometimes it's the man in the corner who barely speaks. But when he does, the room leans in. Silence is control. I think talking makes me dominant. It doesn't. It makes me predictable. The quiet man is the threat because no one knows what he's thinking. When I walk into a room, I don't look for permission. I don't glance around for approval. I observe. I absorb. I let the others rush to prove themselves while I calculate. My posture speaks before my mouth does. I move slowly, not because I'm uncertain, but because I'm in no hurry. Predators don't sprint unless it's time to strike. Until then, they wait, calm, ready. Most people don't even realize how fast they move, how fast they talk, how often they interrupt because they're trying to impress, because they're still beneath someone else's judgment. But when I walk in, like I own the room, I don't speak to impress. I speak to decide. Every sentence carries finality. Every word sounds like a conclusion. People start to listen differently. They don't challenge me. They calibrate themselves to me. And when others speak, I wait. I let them go first. I let them reveal their hunger, their insecurity, their weakness, because the one who talks first usually gives away what they fear. And once I know that, I can bend them at will. I don't chase energy, I create gravity. Because confidence at this level is not about being liked. It's about making others question their own position just by standing near me. So I carry myself like I've already won. Not arrogantly, but like someone who doesn't compete because he's already chosen himself. If they respect me, good. If they don't, better, because indifference to approval is the final form of power. And if the room wasn't mine when I entered, by the time I leave, they'll remember it like it was. Not because I demanded it, but because I didn't have to. Words are not just sounds, they are weapons. And most men speak as if they're asking for permission to exist. I can spot them instantly, the rising tone at the end of every sentence, the nervous laughter, the endless, I think, maybe, I'm not sure, but they speak as if they're apologizing for taking up space. That is not speech, that is self-sabotage. Power is not always in what I say, but how I say it. And when I speak like I cannot be denied, people don't analyze my words. They submit to the weight of my certainty. Because here's the game. People are not logical, they're emotional. They don't follow truth, they follow conviction. If I sound sure, they assume I am. Right. If I hesitate, they assume I'm not worth listening to. So, what does a powerful voice sound like? It's slow, calm, final. I speak as if my words are not open for debate, as if each sentence is a decree. I speak like someone who already expects to be obeyed. It doesn't matter if I'm in a room full of experts. If I sound like a decision, they'll defer. That's the first rule. Sound like the end, not the beginning. And here's what most will never tell. Me. I don't need to speak often to be respected. In fact, the more I say, the more chances I give others to decode me, challenge me, or worse, stop fearing me, speak less, mean more. When I do speak, I eliminate softness. No filler, no explanations, no apologies. Never say, I'm just saying. I could be wrong. I don't know if this makes sense, but those are escape hatches for the weak. Burn them, I say. What I mean and leave it there. I let others deal with the silence that follows, because silence after a strong statement is powerful. It dares people to challenge me, and most won't. Why? Because they're too afraid of what else. I might say, now understand this, the tone of my voice is my true message. The words are the surface, but my tone, my calm, grounded, deliberate tone tells people exactly where I stand in the hierarchy. I want to rise. I lower my pitch. I slow my tempo. I remove the nervous energy. I sound like someone who has nothing to prove and everything under control. I sound like a man who's already made up his mind and expects the world to catch up. This is the bison mindset. I don't win conversations by being louder. I win them by speaking in a way that makes people feel my words aren't suggestions. They're facts. This is how rulers speak, how generals speak, how kings in exile speak before they take their thrones back. And if someone challenges me, I never defend, I redirect, I don't argue. I don't explain, I don't justify, I just say, I disagree. Or better, that's incorrect. And then I move on. Because when I refuse to debate, I signal something terrifying, that my reality is not up for negotiation. That's how I control a room without ever raising my voice. Because confidence isn't volume, it's gravity. It's the invisible weight behind my words. The assumption that when I speak, others should listen. When I speak, the room should feel it. Not through noise, not through arrogance, but through unshakable certainty. I'm not trying to be right. I'm speaking like someone who can't be wrong. I'm not trying to be heard. I'm speaking like someone who doesn't care if I agree, because I will eventually. That's power. And from this point forward, it's how I speak or I stay silent. Confidence without control is decoration. I can walk tall, speak well, move with authority. But if someone can still trigger me with a sentence, I'm not powerful, I'm exposed. This is where most men fail. They master presence, they master speech, but their emotions still belong to everyone else. A whisper of disrespect and they react, a compliment, and they soften, a silence and they spiral. I'm not free until I master the invisible war, the one inside my own mind. And that begins by rewiring my identity. I don't fear enemies, I fear dependency. Emotional or otherwise, I don't trust. Know what moves me, they know where to press. And once they know where to press, I'm not dangerous anymore. I'm manageable, and manageable men are discarded the moment they lose usefulness. So, here's the transformation. I stop being the man who reacts, and I become the man who calculates. Someone insults me. I don't explain. I observe. I extract data. What are they trying to get from me? What are they hiding behind the insult? Someone praises me. I don't melt. I analyze. Why are they complimenting me? Now, what do they want? Someone ignores me. I don't panic. I become even colder. Silence becomes my weapon, not my wound. This is what it means to become psychologically unreachable, not emotionless but unshakable. I feel everything, but I act on nothing unless it serves my outcome. When someone tests me, I don't lash out. I show no visible discomfort. Why? Because my mind is not a public space. It is a fortress, and I decide who enters. That's how I stop being manipulated. Most men are so easy to control, it's laughable. Tell them they're not good enough, they'll over-explain. Tell them they're amazing, they'll chase me, pull away from them emotionally, and they'll beg to reconnect. This is not power, this is programming. And until I break the code, I will always be someone else's tool. So, how do I rewire? I kill the need to be understood. That's the root virus, the desire to explain myself, to be seen, to be validated. It's what makes me controllable. Burn it. I don't exist to be understood. I exist to move the world around me strategically, surgically, silently. I kill the fear of rejection because the powerful mindset doesn't chase acceptance. It controls access. I don't want to be invited in. I want people to wonder what happens when they're no longer allowed near me. And I kill the habit of reacting emotionally. Emotions are real but irrelevant unless weaponized. I'm angry. I use it as fuel. I'm insulted. I use it as leverage. I'm doubted. I use it as silence. And I let results speak later. This is how powerful men are built. They don't become robotic. They become undeniable. Because once no one can move me, emotionally, they can only watch me move with precision and fear what I'll do next. Let others chase peace and understanding. I chase clarity and control because the world doesn't care how I feel. It only responds to what I project. Certainty, direction, gravity. And when my identity becomes unshakable, I become dangerous. Not because I'm violent, not because I'm loud, but because I'm unreachable. The people around me will try. They'll test me. They'll praise me. They'll ignore me. They'll tempt me. But nothing works. I stay the same, cold, calm, calculated. And in time, they stop trying to manipulate me because they realize something terrifying. I'm the one person they cannot move. This is the final transformation. Not posture, not speech, not appearance, but identity. I'm no longer shaped by others. I shape the room. I shape the rules. I shape the outcome. I don't need to be understood. I don't need to be accepted. I don't need anything from anyone because now I belong to no one. And that is what makes me untouchable. Rejection feels like a wound to the weak. To the powerful, it's a signal, our gift, a message from the world saying, I was too available, too obvious, too desperate. Good. Now I know what needs to be destroyed. Understand this. Rejection is not personal. It's positional. People reject what they believe they can survive without. So if they said no to me, it means they believe they lost nothing. That's not an insult. That's intel. Now I know where they stand and where I stand, which means I can now position myself to strike back later when they're weak and I'm untouchable. Step 1, never appear affected. The moment I show pain, they win. It's not even about them. It's about my legend. A powerful mindset doesn't panic when the door shuts. It makes the room colder. I wasn't rejected. They were disqualified from accessing me. Rejection is only real when I acknowledge it, so I don't react, evolve. Step 2, withdraw my presence like a weapon. What happens when something I took for granted disappears? I begin to feel its weight, its value. That's exactly what I do when rejected. I vanish. No explanations, no emotional farewells, just a strategic absence. And while they feel the void, I build. I don't hurt them. I make them irrelevant. I make my silence louder than my words. I make them wonder where I went, how far I've gone, and if they ever had access to me at all. Step 3, reframe the narrative. Rejection only has power if it looks like I was chasing something, so I rewrite the story, not for them, but for myself. I wasn't rejected. I selected myself out of a game too small for me. I allowed them to say no because I was observing their behavior. I gave them one opportunity to prove they had the discernment to recognize power. They failed, and in that failure, they told me everything I needed to know. Now I vanish and upgrade. Step 4, convert rejection into control. Here's where I win. Rejection is clarity. Most people live in confusion, not knowing who respects them, who uses them, who fears them, but rejection cuts through that fog like a blade. Now I know who's blind. Now I know where my power has no impact yet. So what do? I refine my edge. I sharpen my image. I amplify my value so loudly that the people who once ignored me now have to explain themselves when they speak my name. And the next time they come back, they will. I don't even need to reject them. I've already evolved beyond their reach. That's control. Silent. Permanent. Elegant. Step 5. Weaponize. My comeback. The goal is never revenge. Revenge is emotional. Power is always calculated, so I don't try to get back at anyone. I let time handle that for me. I reappear only when my presence creates discomfort, when my success is so visible they can't avoid it, when the person who rejected me is now watching me dominate the very space they thought I didn't belong in. I say nothing. I offer no spite, no sarcasm, no ego. I offer a simple glance, or better, no glance at all, because now I'm not trying to be accepted. I'm setting the standard. Final word. Rejection is not defeat. It's the test, the filter, the fire that shows me what needs to be cold, what needs to be cut, and who needs to be left behind. So remember this, I wasn't rejected. I was redirected toward a version of myself that doesn't ask twice, doesn't flinch, and doesn't wait to be chosen. Now I go build in silence and return as a force they can't reject, even if they want to. I've been reshaped, not inspired, not motivated. Rebuilt from the inside out. I killed self-doubt. Not with affirmations, but with action. I didn't wait to feel ready. I moved, I acted, and I learned that power doesn't belong to the perfect. It belongs to the bold. I took rejection and turned it into fuel. No more chasing approval. Now I let people feel the cost of losing me. I became scarce, strategic, silent, and they noticed. I stopped entering rooms to be accepted. Now I own them through presence, posture, and precision. I no longer speak to be heard. I speak as if no one can afford to disagree. And above all, I rewired my identity. This is the bison mindset. I'm no longer predictable. I'm no longer easily moved. I've become unreachable, emotionally untouchable. They can't provoke me. They can't tempt me. They can't shake me because I belong to no one now. And that makes me unforgettable. That's what creates a legend. Not noise, not fame, powerful silence, cold clarity, ruthless consistency. I don't need to announce my transformation. They'll feel it in my walk, in my tone, in my absence. I've become the man people observe quietly, the one who used to chase, now being chased, the one who used to ask, now deciding, the one who no longer needs approval because I became the standard. So no, this wasn't just about confidence. This was about dominance, mental, emotional, psychological. I'm not here to fit in. I'm here to move the pieces, to bend the room, to haunt their memory, even in silence. Because legends don't beg, they don't explain. They exist and the world reshapes around them. Final command. Like this video if I'm done chasing. Subscribe if I'm ready to become the kind of man they can't control, can't predict, and can never forget. Because this isn't self-help. This is war, and I just became a weapon.